Hey yo, it's Willie. Welcome back. So, as the title suggests, could it be that a Tesla Model 3 is in fact cheaper to own over 5 years than a Toyota Camry? I think so, and I'll explain why. So first, when comparing the two, I'll focus on the purchase price, fuel or energy costs, average repair costs, and depreciation all over the course of 5 years. Keep in mind, the Model 3 is one of the most in-demand vehicles in the world right now and will likely continue to be for the foreseeable future. But this is nothing new. Since the first delivery back in 2018, Tesla has been unsuccessful at reducing demand, even after numerous price increases over the years. To that end, it's important to factor this in when looking at the resale value of the vehicle, which is an often overlooked aspect of the true total vehicle cost. So with that, let's begin. If we look at the purchase price between the two, obviously the Model 3 is almost twice as expensive. However, if you look at the cost to actually operate the vehicles, it's quite a bit more expensive to fill the Camry with gas than it does to power the Model 3 with electricity. Now, the caveat here is where you most often charge your vehicle. If you use the supercharger network, the costs to operate are very similar to that of gas, but by charging at home, you can be spending 4 times less than the cost of gas, plus a conveniently charged battery every morning. So another way to look at it and make it easier to calculate for your own personal driving situation is the fuel cost per mile for a Camry is about 13 cents, whereas the Model 3 costs less than 3 cents per mile. That's a compelling factor to consider when comparing these vehicles. Next, we have repair costs, which can vary greatly between individuals and don't apply as a one-size-fits-all solution. But looking at the averages for these cars, with the Model 3, again, you're spending less than half the cost to fix it than you would a Camry, which are arguably some of the most reliable machines ever built, which I can verify, being that my first car was a 10-year-old Camry, and boy, was she a runner. Had her for 4 years and changed the oil maybe 3 times. Horrible, yes, but the point is, they're virtually indestructible, and the Model 3 costs even less, making it even more reliable than a Camry. Speaking of reliable, people always ask me about the batteries and how reliable they are because they've heard the horror stories about how expensive they can be to replace. This isn't something I think anyone should really worry too much about. Tesla covers their batteries and drive units under warranty for 8 years, which would be far more than the 5 years being used in this example, so don't trip. So factoring in depreciation is where it starts to really get interesting because according to CarEdge, the Model 3 loses about 44% of its value compared to the Camry's 49%. The funny thing about depreciation though is it's a factor based on the market, and the market is based on supply and demand. Now, thinking about this logically, allowing our minds to wander off out into the future a bit, which vehicle would you guess is going to continue to gain popularity? Is it the one that's been around for decades with incremental upgrades, relying on the dying fossil fuel industry? Or will it be the one that has recently surpassed 1 million total models built, is helping lead an entire revolution toward electrification, and can one day drive itself? I'll let you be the judge of that. Yo, so I just wanted to quickly jump in here. As I'm editing this video, I just came across an article that says the Model Y is California's second best selling vehicle behind, you guessed it, the Toyota Camry. The Model 3 comes in at 5th. However, this speaks to the bigger picture that the Teslas are coming for some of the more ubiquitous, well-known vehicles in the market, such as the Camry. And I should also highlight that this video is focused on the Model 3 specifically because of its price point. However, my philosophy, or my beliefs, I should say, are that the Model Y is the best vehicle for most consumers that Tesla currently offers. Just wanted to quickly jump in and add that bit of context. Back to it. But getting back to the point about depreciation, anecdotally speaking, I purchased a used 2017 Model X in June 2020 and drove it around for more than 18 months, added over 20,000 miles on it, and when I traded it in a couple months ago, it didn't necessarily depreciate. Actually, it ended up selling for about $4,000 more than what I originally paid for it. Now, doing the calculations, taxes, charging costs, whatever, it ended up costing me about $150 or so a month to own it. Sounds a little too good to be true, except it isn't. We also have a Model 3 Performance we purchased last August, which currently has a trade-in value just $1,500 less than what we purchased it for. And this is their least demanded trim of the Model 3. Extrapolating that out, I'd only be losing about 25% of the total value of the vehicle over 5 years. Which brings me to the final line regarding resale value. If you look at the resale at year 5, the Camry is just under $14,000, whereas the Model 3 is still over $24,000. That's assuming a 44% depreciation rate, by the way. If the depreciation rate we're using is the 24% that I mentioned a second ago, the resale value jumps up to almost $33,000 on a $43,000 car brand new. Don't believe me? Here you go. Let's just think about this for a second. This implies that if you sold the vehicles in 5 years, you would have spent $456 per month on a Toyota Camry while spending only $324 per month on a Tesla Model 3. But even as little as $238 per month, assuming that 24% depreciation rate we talked about. So as you can see, these cars are clearly not typical in the way the market views them. Most people aren't realizing that when you compare the depreciation of a Camry at nearly the same rate as a Model 3, there's got to be something off. And turns out there is. Traditional metrics just aren't cut out to properly assess the value of these vehicles, just as traditional auto analysts aren't cut out to properly assess the company's market value. There's something to be said about a purchase so large, decreasing in value so quickly, and people continuing to purchase them year after year when the opportunity to change that is already available. That does it for this one. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comments. Did this video help shed light on how affordable Teslas actually are? And when looking to buy a new or used car, are you more likely to consider a Tesla now knowing this information? Again, let me know below. I'm Willie. This is Charged Up. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.